Hey, fourth grade, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I welcome you to week 5, day 3 of ELA. We're going to get started with our learning today. You should have your packets open to day 3. Let's get started. Today we're going to get started with our See, Think, Wonder thinking routine. So go ahead and put your eyes on your screen and pause your video and notice 5 things you see. I want you observing closely and noticing everything you see. This is an abstract painting this week, so you really need to slow down and look closely. Now let's move on to I think. A little background information before you complete the I think stage. This week, your background information is the name of the painting. The name of the painting is going to be Rocks, Water, Air. So, based on that background information, what do you think is going on in this painting? Remember, this is an abstract painting. So let's make 5 observations. Go ahead, pause the video, take your eyes all the way across the top, the bottom, into the middle. Make 5 observations of I think. And then go ahead, and I bet you guys have some really great I wonders about this painting entitled Rocks, Water, Air. Go ahead and make 5 wonderings. What do you wonder about this painting? Thanks for getting your brains all warmed up for our lesson today with me with that thinking routine. Remember, you can always do that thinking routine with with pictures, with art that you see around you. DC is full of beautiful, beautiful murals and sculptures. So stop if you're on a walk and do See, Think, Wonder with one of those when you're on a walk with your family. Let's get to our objective today. Today we will reread and annotate the text in order to gather evidence and information that will support us in answering text-based questions and also summarizing. Our line of inquiry is, why are there different types of rocks and how are they formed? So we're really going to be focusing on that. And luckily, this is the exact thing we were studying before we left for quarantine. So we need to refocus ourselves on this because we already have so much background knowledge. So today we're going to need our text, our annotation key, our evidence-based responses, and a pencil. Our tasks are going to be to read and annotate, to answer those questions, and to summarize. So this is your first page of the text. You've already read it yesterday with Mr. Freeman for a first time, and you've answered some questions with him when you did your chunked text. And you guys did an awesome job. Today, for our second read, we're going to focus on annotating and really using those annotation strategies. Now, if you need help with read aloud support, go to Miss Rose's video, because today we'll not be reading aloud. We're going to focus all on underlining the major points, circling keywords or phrases, putting a question mark by anything we don't understand, writing notes in the margins for our clarifying statements. All right? So if you really want someone to read it aloud with you, Miss Rose, your lady. So our first page is all about the rock cycle. We really want to determine what's our major points about this page. Okay, we're going to circle any keywords. Remembering our focusing question is, why are there different rock types and how are they formed? All right, so go ahead and pause your video, read this page, and annotate for me. All right, here's what I got. I circled the word rock cycle and I underlined this sentence. Each stage creates certain kinds of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. When have we learned those words? Oh my gosh, the week before we left, we talked so much about this. We discovered this as geologists that week before we left. And so then at the bottom of the page, my note, I wrote, rocks are formed in the rock cycle. There are 3 types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. My gosh, I feel like I'm an expert already. What about you guys? So now we see a page all about igneous rock, and they have this great little graphic at the bottom that I'm seeing, and my eye is immediately drawn to that, and my eye is immediately drawn to this. Remember, in these scientific texts, they're going to use a lot of text features that help us out as readers. We did a bunch of lessons on that before we left, so you should still be noticing that as a reader. So now we're going to do the important stuff, which is actually reading our text. So go ahead and read and annotate. Pause your video. All right, what do you annotate? This is what I got. I circled igneous rocks because that was the key word, and I also underlined how they're formed. They melt into magma, and then the magma cools very quickly, and then it hardens. Hardened magma becomes solid rock. And then I circled the process because it literally has a diagram of this process. So if I'm having a hard time picturing that in my head, maybe I don't know what magma is, maybe I'm like, what do you mean rock is melting? I thought rock was solid. It's showing me in this picture. And then I took a note on this. Igneous rock is formed when melted rock, magma or lava, cools. Then I did my arrow, hardens. Remember that we have symbols and we have little things that we can use as we're taking notes, so we don't have to write as many words. Okay, these little symbols are our friends, like the slash mark and the little arrow. I did that so I didn't have to write as many words. Okay, let's move on. Sedimentary. I love these ones. They're so cool looking. So go ahead, read this, pause your video here, and then let's see how we annotated it. This is how I annotated mine. You see the key phrases, key details I underlined. You see what I circled. I circled really only 2 things, pile up and sedimentary, because really the key idea here is sediments are piling up on each other, and the key word here was, we're talking about sedimentary rock. If you circled erode and deposit, good for you. That's also the key process that's happening here. I chose to write about it in my note. In my note, I wrote, sedimentary rocks are formed when rocks erode, they're deposited, and then they pile up layer by layer, and then the weight presses the layers into a solid rock. And last but not least, we have metamorphic rock. Go ahead, read all about metamorphic rock, pause your video, annotate, and then see what we came up with. All right, this is what I came up with. So I came up with that heat and pressure changes the chemical makeup. So it's formed through intense heat and pressure. So then that heat and pressure eventually is going to cause that to remelt again, and then it's changing back into igneous rock to restart the whole rock cycle. So that's really what it's talking about in that second paragraph, which I think is important to note, that yes, metamorphic rock is formed through heat and pressure, but then it's changed back into igneous rock and then restarting the whole rock cycle, which is important to note because this is a continuous cycle. And that's really why I circled this up above, because we need to make note of that. It doesn't just stop. These aren't just singular processes, and it's not a straight line. It's a circle. It's a cycle. Okay? So it's not linear, it's circular. All right, so let's get these questions answered. So using page 36, what does metamorphic mean? Which two sentences best help you understand metamorphic? So I put the sentence frame, metamorphic rocks change due to what two processes are they changing because of? According to the text, the word morph. So you see it tells you a key word, a key chunk of that word means something. I want you to go back in the text and write what that word, that chunk of that word morph means. And then I also want you to go back in the text and put a star where you found it, okay? A cycle is a series of events that go in order and repeat. How are the processes described in this chapter a rock cycle? So like we just talked about, why is it not a straight line of these things happening to the rock of first, then last? How are they always going, never ending? Rocks are created, destroyed, and renewed during the three stages: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. They are happening at the same time. Finish my statement. Write a summary of the text. Your summary should at least be 3 sentences. Ideally, your summary would be 5 sentences. Okay? This one, since we've studied this exact content before, and this is pretty much a review, you should be very comfortable writing this summary. Okay? After you write your summary, I would love if you texted it to Mr. Freeman or I, or typed it in the comments below. Last week, I had the best conversation with somebody in the comments about the See, Think, Wonder. So if more of you want to join in commenting on the See, Think, Wonder, I would love that. Okay? That will be the end of our lesson today. If you notice, there are Spanish translations below. I hope that helped some of us. It's our first time doing it. It's my first time doing it. Sorry, I won't speak for anybody else. But I hope that helps. Let me know if it doesn't, and we will keep experimenting. I hope you guys are staying safe. I miss you. Please text or call if you have any questions. All right, bye-bye.